Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Muhi Khwaja with Muslim Philanthropy Podcast, and today it is a pleasure to be joined by the Islamic Association of Raleigh's ITKAN IAR Robotics Team 21836, and they will be participating in the first World Robotics Championship, first championship World Robotics. I will pass it over to their coach, Mustafa Habib, to introduce a few more members. We have with us today Arshad Anas, Yusuf Siddiqui, Arshad Rahman, Tariq, and Yahya Duale. So welcome.
Thank you. As you were mentioning, Yusuf Siddiqui, Arshad Anas, and Zubair, and also we have Samara and Yahya online. Basically it's ITKAN IAR is the team, and it's 21836, and it's part of the first robotics competition. We have been a team since October 2022, and I'll actually leave it up to the team members to kind of like add more to that and maybe even introduce themselves and what their role is in the team.
So we were founded as a part of the ITKAN Institute of Technology in Dallas, Texas. So I believe they started a Marvels network in 2022. And our masjid, our mosque was the Islamic Association of Raleigh was already looking to participate in First Tech Challenge, which is one of first 3 robotics competitions. So there's the Lego League, which many parents are familiar with. There's First Tech Challenge, and there's First Robotics Competition. So we're on like First Tech Challenge. The latter 2 are both high schoolers, but high school competitions, but ours is a bit more like smaller, like size robots, or like 1.5 foot cubed, where First Robotic Competition is like very large robots. We focus on this one because it allows a lot more collaboration. You have a little bit smaller teams, but that also means we have more and the robot size means we're working on more fine technology, like very precise technology. So our mosque got in touch with Dallas, with the ITKAN Institute, and we started as the first team of the Marvels network outside of Texas. So we're the first ones, very early in the network, and over the last 2 years. So we started late in our first season. We still got state finalists in our first season. We didn't make it past that, but then in that last season, we got the state record. And this season, we got both the state record, winning alliance captain at 2 qualifiers in the state championship. And now we're gonna compete at Worlds in April, which is this month in 2 weeks. Let's talk about how we recruit, how you got involved.
Yeah. Arshad kind of just reached out to me. We've been friends for a long time. He was like, he was on the team the first year. I wasn't on it the first year. He told me about the robotics, sent me a bunch of videos, and asked me if I wanted to get involved. And then I just kind of reached out, they gave me an interview and joined the team, alhamdulillah. But then for other kids, we have an FLL team. We have 3 FLL teams. As those kids get older and older, those kids will inshallah join us. So right here we have Yahya. He was on the FLL team. They went to Worlds last year. And then Zubair, he was on the same FLL team, and he joined us this year as well.
Yeah, Yusuf was part of, after our first season, we did a recruitment program. It was around 6, we interviewed, I think, 11 students. We accepted 6 of them. So it was like identical process for all of them. They would have an assignment and like multiple tasks. So one of the main things we look for is that the program is about learning, but we believe that the best questions are the ones asked about experience. And there's a lot of resources. One thing that's enabled our success very quickly, alhamdulillah, is there's been a lot of resources developed, especially after COVID, and a lot of teams working online. They develop online resources. So we have the students try to get as much raw information online than asking. There are far too many questions to ask. And just by reading those resources, I myself, my first year, I didn't know anything going into this program, despite my older brother would compete previously, but he was he's another different 4 years than it was my 4 years. But I didn't learn anything from him originally. So what I would do is I'd go through these resources, and I want to build, I want to make something like a grabbing device. I would go and look for what teams prior had done. But the real questions I would ask is more about what's your experience with this? I would ask the coaches, I would ask Brother Mustafa, what your experience with it is. But when it comes to the actual knowledge, we like the students to go out and do a lot of self-learning. That was one of the things we tested with in our first interview process with Yusuf. He actually went and learned how to CAD a particular part on his own. And then there was also the interview. So that really helped. And with the FOL kids, they have experience already. So we're counting on that. And then also we're currently training them as well. They're going through these same resources, learning how to work on their own. Yeah.
Can you share what FLL stands for?
Yeah, that's first Lego League. That was the
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And I just want to give a quick opportunity for everybody else to just kind of share, you know, a little bit more about themselves. Like where, you know, I'm assuming everybody mostly probably grew up in the Islamic Association of Raleigh community, but just kind of share name, how long you've been on the team, and jump around.
Yeah, hey, you want to start?
Okay, so my name's Yahya, and I have been on the team for not too long, maybe a couple of months, because I have help from the FLL team. The FTC team has introduced me, and they're currently helping me get ready for our first tip challenge for the upcoming season.
Yeah, you could talk about like what you did in FLL. I myself, I don't have a lot of experience. We can all hear about that.
Okay, so I was on the FLL team for 3 years, and last year we actually went to the Worlds competition, and this year we're going to the Nationals competition. FTC is kind of similar to FTC in a way, because you also kind of have to go through the same process, like having to learn stuff, having to find a way to build your robot, how to design it, how to collaborate with your whole team, and how to assign each other goals and tasks throughout the day. And I think it's a really helpful way to help, like if you have come from an FLO team and want to join FTC, it's good experience for you.
Nice.
Mine.
That's good.
Yeah, I think our audio just cut out real quick. We'll come back to her when that resolves.
Zubair.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zubair. I was on the FLL team for 2 years, and I was on the same team with Yahya Dawadi for 1 year, because when I first interviewed, it was the same as last year, and I got onto the beginner team, and then alhamdulillah I did pretty good on the new team that they called me up to be with Yahya Dawadi's team, the one that made it to Worlds the year prior. So as continuing on what Yahya Dawadi said, so for FLL, we have a robot. We use a Spike Prime. It's basically how we code the stuff to do it. So while doing that, we have to make attachments to do the certain missions, which there are 15 missions per like on the table. And by doing those missions, we get points. And then the max, like the total points you can get is 620 points. And then there's another aspect, which is called the innovation project. So this year, the first is made like all competitions about the ocean exploring. So we are submerged. And so we did our innovation project on what the example said was, on the topic was like how to help researchers and how to help the ocean. So we did something about dolphins called diamond skin disease, which basically does we made a solution to it, but we can't really test it. So basically, we designed something to take out the disease, the genome.
Very cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's super fascinating. Great. Samara, why don't you share with us as well?
Oh yeah, sorry, I don't know what happened there for a moment. But I'm Samara and I work on outreach and hardware for our team, and I recently just joined this year. I was involved in some robotics at my high school, and then two girls on our team, Farah and Aya, introduced me to our FTC, and I grew up going to IAR, so I thought it was an amazing opportunity.
Great. And thanks to you, we're having this conversation on the podcast. So thank you for reaching out. Mustafa, why don't you share a little bit more about how you got involved as well?
Sure. So in I think it was in October 2022, Ahmed Guma, which is he's a program manager. He had already like some understanding of what ITKAN does in Texas, and he had like view on what they were doing. I wasn't aware of it before, and he reached out to me because he was looking for coaches for an IR team to start. And he was starting at that time FLL and FTC at the same time. So I remember the first thing we had like this huge Excel sheet of questions we were asking students, and then the list of students and how good they're doing in each question as part of like the interview process. We did that for FLL, for FTC, and there were also other coaches involved at the time. That some of them are still with us, some of them are not. And then subhanAllah, from there, FLL started growing, and it's actually, I think, how many teams FLL had?
Three, and then we have like a couple around the triangle.
Yeah. So mashallah, like it's not only IR, by the way, it's like a network of all the messages. So IR, and then the next year, the JIR, they also started. JIR is Jamaat Ibad al-Rahman, and then An-Nur also started, and then there's another message, MYCC and ICM as well. So alhamdulillah, like a lot of, like it initiated in IR, but also other messages try to join in. Some of them were able to kind of like gain traction and continue, and some of them, kind of like died down a little bit, but then, we're going to try to start them again. So alhamdulillah, I think that outreach, it's not just masjid specific, it's also like, all the communities overall. And I think ITKAN, when Ahmed reached out to me, I didn't have idea of this whole network stuff, but I did understand that, he knew that I had software background. And so I just joined, and to be honest, since I joined 2022, I did not write one line of code. It was mostly just supporting the team for them to actually do that stuff. And then alhamdulillah, like like the whole point is like I'm right now trying to like have them answer most of the questions, because we want them to be like the leaders, inshallah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Hey, you can go ahead. I was gonna like add something, but it's okay.
Okay, we can come back to it at any time. I just wanted to ask, how many members are there on the team?
All right. So I think the first
Are there
season
more?
They're more than are here, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we've had
The
9.
first season.
The first season we had 15, and then it was 12 last season. So some people left, and we recruited new people as well. And then this season we've worked with mostly with nine students. And then the FL students are joining us to like for training and experience before next season, because some of us are graduating. So that'll help them get an early start, this idea.
Yeah, we wanted to get them in before the end of this season, so they can, especially since we're now going to Worlds, our season's been extended, get them to see how, because we decided to design a whole new robot for Worlds versus our States robot. So they could basically, by them joining, they got to see the whole design process and all of these skills in a pretty quick fashion versus if they were to join in the beginning of next season. And that kind of gives them a little like head start, which will help us, with their knowledge and experience next year.
Yeah, like taking people.
Absolutely.
I've seen going to competition is always like one thing that changes people's like perspective and it gets them really hyped. So we've been taking them to, I think, our qualifiers, state championship, and they'll be spectating and watching us at Worlds as well.
In terms of age limits, what are the restrictions there?
For FTC, the requirement is 7th grade and up. So I think the youngest right now, we have, I think, 2 7th graders right now.
7th through 12th grade. FLL, I believe, is third. There are 2 levels in FLL. The one there more competitive one is from, I think, 3rd grade up to 8th grade. And then the FRC, which is the really large robots, those are just 9th through 12th. Us working with 7th through 12th is helping us have a bit more like range and being able to train new people without being more in and out. Like if we were only 9th through 12th grade, I feel like we wouldn't have as much continuity with being able to train new students.
Yeah. In my travels to Dallas, I was able to visit Mass Dallas and hear about their ITKAN team. So I was a little familiar with it. But I will also say my niece, who is 10 years old, won 2nd place in her school with her robotics team. So it's really exciting to see more people across the country getting into these types of initiatives. Can you give me just like a brief background about Islamic Association of Raleigh? Maybe Mustafa, you can share some dynamics and then like how long the community's been around, and what other programs they offer beyond ITKAN as well.
Yeah, so I can briefly mention some things there. So for the Islamic Association of Raleigh, I don't remember what year. Do you guys remember what year you started?
Like
I have it.
1970.
There's
Oh,
that
nine-
one mug. It's like
70s,
1996.
No, that's when ITKAN started.
That's any man.
With the actual masjid, they started in the red brick building. It's around 1970, 80,
Yeah.
around somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So when Imam Bayouni
Wow.
came to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then after that, just the community has blown up. We're now, I think, we've been the largest Muslim community on the east. I'm not sure, is it East Coast or South?
Something like that.
Something like that, but it's maybe Southeast or something. But alhamdulillah, just our community has been. I think something really interesting about our community is that it's mostly run by the youth at this point. I have several friends who are basically in charge of planning a lot of events, in charge of media, in charge of all of these different things. And I think it's important that our community is putting, the younger people, giving them allowing them to take some, giving them a role and allowing them to take some initiative, because then that'll allow the community to prosper into the future.
Like some of our classmates from one of the schools in IAR, the Nur Quran Academy, we both attend. Actually, all 3 of us attend there. Zubair is still attending school there. It's like a hifz school, so Quran memorization. And some of our classmates from there are actually lead salah regularly, prayer at the masjid. So that's really very exciting.
Yeah. So part of I think one of the things that our team has kind of like come in contact with IR in terms of like the events they do. So for example, I think a few days ago they did the Eid Fest. Alhamdulillah, actually it's one of the most successful ones I think so far. And Eid Fest, at least like a few thousand people attended, as well as the
Eid Salah.
the Ramadan.
The first shift we had 7,000 people, and then
Yeah, and
12,000
for the past, I believe, like decade-ish, there's been like IR is the one who primarily had the Eid Salah, like pretty much. I remember like the other masajid didn't really even have it. So the community's grown as well.
Yeah.
And we've been IR's trying to expand as well. We have the Page Road. There's a new building added. Inshallah, we'll be stationed there as well.
Yeah. So the other things like the message itself, obviously they have like all types of stuff like any regular masjid they have like the matrimonial services, all these different things. But I think one of the things that our team as an outreach was trying to get into is anything that's khair base that we can help with as the team members. I think last season was it that we joined the Feed the Hungry or something like that, right? What was it called?
Yeah, that was last season or the season before.
Yeah.
So we have a couple like volunteer events we go out. I think this season we also went to the Zakat Foundation. So some of our team members we get together, we go and do some volunteering as well. In more related to the program, we also last year we hosted one of the competitions for the state like qualifiers at the masjid. So it was a really good opportunity for people to see the masjid. And one of the best things I think is, despite the fact that we had breaks for each of the salah, we had like Luhur, Asr, I think Maghrib was still during that time. We were still ahead of schedule compared to pretty much all the other qualifiers. Like I was in charge of our team was basically running the competition, which was really exciting. And I was in charge of the timekeeping, and I could see like we were like a whole half hour ahead, which was really a good look for the masjid.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I wanted to add to that also so one of the so in first it's interesting because it's not just alhamdulillah, it is like a competitive sport in some sense. The first tech challenge, but also the interesting part is they do interviews and they ask the kids themselves questions. So there's an interview that actually no coaches or adult is allowed there except the judges and the team, so that they can actually test them on, well, whether they actually work themselves on this robot, and also they asked a lot of outreach questions. So one of the questions, for example, would be, what have you done to give back to your community, right? So how some of the questions that first asks the students kind of like goes hand in hand with we as Muslims in our community, what we actually, strive to do ourselves. So.
Love that. Tell me a little bit more about the team dynamics. I'm sure with any group sport team, there's always, there's, the jokester that keeps it light. There's the one that's always on time running the thing, trying to keep it going, stay focused. There's like the motivator. There's the one that's like really good at what they do. So if you want to highlight some team members or memories through some of the competitions you've been through, feel free to share any anecdotes about what makes ITKAN IAR unique.
Oh, we have the jokester right here. That's good. Well, actually, these two probably.
Jokesters.
Yeah, the jokesters. Alhamdulillah. So we
don't just joke though.
Do you? Okay. So I think we try to get students around doing different things. Some of us have specific tasks we do, but a lot of us are alternating. There's mainly two sections: hardware and software. Hardware involves like using online CAD, so we use it Onshape. It's like basically design the entire robot. We don't
3D model.
3D modeling the entire robot. So all this entire robot has a 3D model design. Every part is extracted from there. So we collaborate on that document. And we also get together for the code portion. So we have a whole task list. There's like a lead for each task. There's a lead for each category, so hardware and software. I think they're both mainly in charge of hardware, that I'm in charge of software. And then for each task has a lead, then they're basically responsible on the end result, but other students are always welcome and encouraged to help on those tasks. But when it comes to here's the deadline, then the lead has to be able to communicate. If not, well, you don't get to be lead anymore.
And we've used previous like programs in the past, like Zen Hub and stuff like that, to kind of manage these tasks. But recently what we've been doing is using a Google Sheet. It just found it a lot easier. And then also pairing that with a Google Classroom so that we can put due dates training and stuff like that for training, and also for some tasks, because we can set a due date, include all attachments and everything, just keep it nice and organized.
Like some tasks that might need multiple, I don't know, I think there was some about researching for a design for the robot that it's a little bit late now, but we were looking for outside professional assistance for that. And since multiple people can do that, we would have that like as a task with the classroom. For the FL students, I think the training via classroom is also helpful, having go through the resources and things like that.
One anecdote I guess I can share is there's this misconception, even sometimes by the parents, that a coach has to know all of the technical stuff and of the robot. So if you ask me questions about how this robot works, my answer would be maybe 2 out of 10. These guys would be like 6, 7, 8 out of 10, right? So we definitely know more about, but because they're the ones who are working on it, right? And that's the whole.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have another personal anecdote. So at the state competition, alhamdulillah, we won all of our qualification matches and we were in first place. So because of that, when it came time for the playoff rounds, we had the first pick in terms of our alliance. So the way a competition works is you'll have the qualification matches, and then the top 6 or so will get to choose alliance members, and those alliance members can either like accept the alliance or decline it. So anyways, we were in first place, alhamdulillah, and our sister team at the other masjid, JIAR.
Actually, about them, we last year we started them. So after our first season, we got into contact with the masjid, and so we had some of us actually in the call that basically conceptualized that team, and we got to see them grow from a starting early team. And their captain said they basically picked 10 people off the street. And as they developed, we actually got to see them grow from a rookie team to like a mid-season. Like they were until the point where they're the best team in the state this year. Alhamdulillah. Really, only thing that stopped them was a broken battery wire. So we really got to, that was one of the main missions, is we're not just mentoring those teams, we're making them grow to be as good as or even better than us, and as the best that they can be. And then
So we were in first place, so we had the first pick. And when you make a pick, you say team 21836, that's us, would like to graciously invite team 24604, ITKAN JIAR, right? But the way we said it, or Arshad said it when he was on the microphone, he said, team 21836, ITKAN IAR will like to see if it can win with it can alliance with ITKAN JIAR. And I just remember that was kind of funny, because then when Umar from JIAR came, he said team 24064 thinks it can or this alliance
It can alliance.
It can alliance with.
And actually the
Nice
best part,
puns, nice puns.
yeah, and the best part I think about that is after, that's the beginning of the playoffs, and there's like a whole slew of 10 playoff matches, or was it 7? I don't remember. It was 10. And then after that, after we had won, we were going to the world championship, the head referee of the state, who some of us actually know personally, and he knows some of us by name, he actually went up on the mic, he said, turns out it can. That was
Very nice.
Uh,
Samara, would love to hear more of your perspective and kind of what are your takeaways from being on the team?
Yeah, this is my first year competing in like a robotics like competition, and so I've definitely learned more because I've only been involved in my school for a science Olympiad, and it's definitely a smaller thing where coaches definitely do more of the work for you, and here it's more of a learning opportunity where, you know, if we have a question, we can ask it, and we're learning while we do something.
That's great. I wanted to ask maybe a tougher question, but in regard to robotics, obviously there's a stigma out there of the type of kid that would join a robotics team. Have any of you have faced any bullying for being part of the team, and kind of what's the response from the team or from just like other robotics teams of how they deal with it in the spaces that you guys operate in?
Any questions?
Right. Let me think. So I think there's a lot of, definitely, I think honestly, from what I've seen, a lot of teams, there's a lot of diversity in between teams. There's
Even us, we have a lot of.
yeah, even like our team and some of the other ITKAN teams and other FTC First Tech Challenge teams in the state. It's just like there's a lot of diversity. There's girls and there's guys working in the province. There's some teams that are all girls and they're actually very successful. There are teams that are there are teams from Christian schools, there are teams from like smaller schools, there are teams that have people from pretty much everywhere. I think I've seen every ethnicity you can think of in robotics. And I think everyone is very collaborative. I've seen, and one thing that part of the program is gracious professionalism, and part of that I think is the way I see it is that us Muslims, we should be the most gracious professionals. And what it really means is
Love
you're
that.
you're cooperative with your opponents, even you're
Mhm.
always helping. And because at the competition, your qualification matches, you're with a random partner, and that random partner could be your opponent or the other way around. So it's in your benefit to help everyone you can. And it really encourages, instead of seeing everyone as a competitor, everyone's really just friends at competition. And I think that extends to whoever might be, like you might think as like, I don't know, stereotypically in STEM. I've seen pretty much everyone. I think Yusuf is literally, he's going to be, I think, going medical, and
Yeah.
he's here in robotics, which you might think, oh, it's engineering or
Oh, medical? How dare you?
Hey, there's a lot of robotics in surgery. There's a lot of, integration. So
No, I'm just good. I'm just joking.
And people don't necessarily as a robotics person. I mean, I play basketball. I mean, I do all these other things.
Right.
I think
He's a popular kid,
I
actually.
okay, so he's making the robotics a little bit cooler.
I
Okay.
think robotics in general, it's like a lot of diverse. I think there's a lot of diversity in terms of what people do. I think it's not just, I guess, what you could call a stereotypical nerd.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot more, I think, and I think that translates to, I don't really see much bullying especially within the community of like robotics, and then outside of it, there's not much, because I think people kind of respect it.
And especially like it's growing fast. Like in
Yeah.
my school, it's a public school, and yet there's no FTC team there, but almost like 25% of the students, you can honestly, it's a 1 in 4 chance you ask a student, they're doing first tech challenge or first robotics competition. And
My school.
like either they're participating, they have participated, they know about it, and right, it's just like there's a growing community. And I like the fact that one of the main things that is being preached is not that you're winning, is that you're learning and you're cooperating, and you're cooperation, they call it as well. That you're just respectful, you're learning. Like everyone has some amount to learn. Even the people like that I once went to ask for like basic help. Now sometimes they come to ask me for help.
Yeah.
Like the online discords and stuff. And through that, like everyone's really learning, and I really appreciate that. I like seeing that there's really no like animosity, even when one team is like completely overwhelms another or something like that. Everyone's really looking to learn.
And I think you can also see that with like outreach. Whenever we do a table or something and show off the robot, all you can see is like genuine interest from like anyone who comes to the table. They're just like amazed, and I guess they want to see how it works. And I don't think there's any bad intentions where that comes from.
Yeah.
That's really great.
To add to these great answers, also one thing, once you join the team itself, it's kind of like, I've realized over the 3 years I've been with this team, like it's kind of like a small business, but for nonprofit, right? There's a lot of sides of it other than just building the robot. Obviously, that's central, and it is expected from the students to understand it. But also, there's the outreach part. There's the sponsorship, fundraising, even giving back to the community, right? So there are all of the marketing. So it really has all the aspects, I feel, of like a small like nonprofit.
Absolutely. I'm hearing a lot about learning new skills, benefits of team environment, integration into the community. And American Muslim Community Foundation, we're all about really 3 ecosystems. There's a donor ecosystem, there's a nonprofit ecosystem, and then the general philanthropic ecosystem. And, philanthropy is said to be the love of mankind, giving back, exploring generosity, and to every culture, to every person, that means something different, right? For some, it could be giving of your wealth, and our Islamic tradition values that, right? We just experienced Ramadan, and everybody wants to give more in Ramadan, but also about sharing of your talents. What are you good at? What can you give back, right? Giving of your time. How are you volunteering, making a difference in the community? So it's great to hear that there are these elements embedded in the team environment and experience. So I want to ask one more question, and then I'd love for you guys to show off the robot that you guys have and share a little bit more about it. But for each of you, if you want to share, what is your number one favorite charity? And of course, you know, Islamic Association of Raleigh, we'll say, is like the top because that's your community. But if there are others that you've been impressed with, have learned about recently, or just want to share a little bit more about, let us know.
What is your favorite charity? I can go. So I think the last 3 years is probably IR Robotics is my favorite, but you know, it's a given.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think probably like Zakat Foundation.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, we've actually done some stuff with Zakat Foundation. They had for the hurricane drive, we went there and helped out with packing boxes recently. So I mean, they're based near the Durham Masjid, the JIAR. So we have a good connection with them. And we try to help out there whenever we can. Yeah. I think they're trying to get the state's robot. So right here's the world.
Yahya or Samara, any
Yeah.
charities you want to shout out?
I would say Islamic Relief USA. I've volunteered with them before. I definitely think they do everything for a good cause.
Definitely.
Yeah, and they work a lot with our masjid. They have several events throughout the year at our masjid. So I mean, especially our program lead, Brother Ahmed Goma, he works with them a lot when in planning events and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Yahya, did you get to share? Favorite
Besides IAR, I don't know what else. So
right, fair enough.
Well, you know, in terms of building a brand new robot for the national competition, what spurred that decision?
So there were some like limitations with our current robot. I mean, the state's robot, it worked really well. But so the first robot, our state's robot worked really well, but there were some things that we realized that we could make like tweaks to optimize it. Because inshallah, we want to go to Worlds not to just be there. We want to win or like do really well. Because I mean, I think what I guess the project manager, Brother Ahmed Goma, would say is he sees robotics as a chance for Muslims to become like the lead innovators in technology. Because he said something that he says a lot is that when the Muslims were at the forefront in terms of innovation and technology, that's when the world was, you know, a better place. And he believes that inshallah through programs like this we can become the next you know, leaders of in technology and stuff like that. And I think in terms of this, the state's robot, we wanted to optimize it so then we can inshallah get as many points as possible. And the new robot with its smaller form factor and stuff like that, it allows us to do those things. We're able to do a lot more things in a lot faster fashion as well and more efficient. So I think there's a couple different reasons, but mainly in terms of optimization, that those are some of the reasons why we're you know, inclining towards creating a new robot.
You know.
What are some of the tasks that in competition the robots are expected to perform, and how do you execute those tasks?
So I'll show you. Okay. So
Yeah.
in the game, there's a field. We have like half the field set up here, but anyway, basically you have a submersible thing in the center. This is about half of the field, and that's filled with these little like blocks. And essentially, what the robot's main objective is to pick up these blocks from the field, and you can do one of two things. One, you either score it in those two buckets over there, or two, you'll bring it to a human player over in this corner somewhere, and they'll take a clip. Do you have a clip or should? Oh, right here. And what they'll do is you'll put a clip on it, just like this, and then the robot will take this clip and then hang it on that bar right there. So those are like
Okay.
two score. And then at the end of the game, the robot will attempt to climb. So it would climb on those two bars over there. So currently with the States robot, we've maxed out kind of in terms of how many points the robot can score.
Mhm.
That's another reason why we've just decided to create a new robot, which can inshallah score a lot more points than that.
Really interesting.
And I think Arshad's just plugging in the robot, maybe a couple more minutes, and then I think we can show you a demo of the States robot. The world's robot we haven't built, but we haven't wired or
And we don't want to let out all the secrets before the
Yeah,
competition.
yeah.
Right? You got to keep some of that under the wraps.
we can show you a little demo of the States robot in a couple of minutes. But if you have any other questions until then,
This one moves, right? It doesn't move.
this one doesn't move. We can show it if you want.
Show it.
Yeah.
Show some of the improvements.
Yeah,
You can-
sure. So, in terms of optimization, this robot with its smaller form factor allows us to extend a lot more. So in the game, there's a certain it's fine.
That's fine.
There's a certain extension limit that we're allowed to have, and by making the robot smaller, the drivetrain smaller, we can extend further, which gives us more room in terms of how far we can extend into the submersible, meaning we can grab more of these samples, these blocks. Other things that we've changed is we've moved our vertical slides that go out into the center versus before they were on the outside. And what this allows us to do is there's something called a level 3 climb. And this is interesting because it's where you're climb onto one bar, like two parallel bars. You climb onto the first bar, and then while you're suspended in midair, you transfer onto the second bar. So this robot allows us to do that because the weight distributions are fixed with the central slides. And then other things that we've changed in this robot are we added these like kind of these motor switchers.
Yeah.
And what they do is they allow us to redirect power from the drivetrain motors to these vertical slides, which gives us even more power when we're doing that level 3 climb. Because previously, the other robot, we were only able to do a level 2 climb, which got us, I think, 15 points. And now inshallah should be able to get us to 30 points.
In terms of restrictions or guidelines, is there a limit to how heavy it can be, a limit to how much money you can spend, a limit to certain things?
Not really in terms of weight or money, but there are limitations in terms of what materials and like vendors you're allowed to get product.
Also,
And like for motors, there's certain specifications that they have to have, and where you have to get them from. And like how many you're allowed to use. So for motors, we're only allowed to use 8, and for servos, we're only allowed to use 12. Different limitations like that we have to be creative about. In the previous robot, we were running out of servos. We had, I think you're only allowed to have 12. We had 11. And what we ended up doing is we created a differential, which allowed us to just use one servo to basically control like 3 ranges of motion instead of using 3 servos by using some gears and some belts and some design like that. So different limitations like that are like purposeful in the game, but they make you think more about how to design the robot.
And are any of these components like 3D printed? Have you done that from the start? Like, what are you guys? How are you guys building it?
So a lot of the parts, as Arshad mentioned earlier, we designed the whole robot in CAD in 3D design. And then what we do is like, for instance, these outer plates, these are all like machine cut. We send them out, we send the designs to a company and they'll print them out for us in aluminum. And then other parts, they're like kind of just stock parts that they have from a company called Go Builda. And we'll get a lot of those parts. But for custom parts, what we'll do is we have these 2 3D printers over here. And right now we're 3D printing a bucket and it was making a lot of noise. So I kind of paused it during the podcast, but these 2 are, that's where we get a lot of our 3D printed parts. So on the actual robot, our bucket is 3D printed, our claws 3D printed. A lot of things are 3D printed. Just whenever, if there's something that we need, and there's no readily available part for that. We'll just make it ourselves, and we can make it to whatever specification.
And some of the parts are from GoBuilder, but then there's some of the parts like they're cut,
Yeah,
right?
like these are custom, like almost, I would say most of this robot's custom, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there open source files online, like if you were to search in like certain directories or sites that make it easier for robotics teams?
Yeah, they are. So in terms of, I would say, there's two aspects. So for hardware, there's in the 3D design, there's like a shared library of those like those stock pieces that you can get from GoBuilder. So then we can import those from that library. And then in terms of code, there's some stock code that we can like base it off of. In terms of like the autonomous period, we can use some of the localization code, and like a lot of the background code is there and readily available. And then the rest is we'll do that.
So are you guys ready?
Yeah, I think they got the old robot ready.
Yeah. So this is the world's robot, inshallah, and then this is the states that they got to world with. And the reason, one of the reasons, by the way, it wasn't 100% ready is that I think it was 2 days ago they used it in Eid Fest. So this one might just needed some fixing, and I think they just did that, inshallah.
Very cool.
So
I'm just gonna show how this.
ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way the game works is there's an autonomous period, and that's when the robot's just controlled by itself. Our hands are off the controller, and that'll last for 30 seconds. And then after that, there'll be about 2 minutes of driver control, and then that's when I think Arshad Enes will control the robot.
Ashir Rahman.
Oh, I guess Arshad will do
How
it.
long do the batteries last?
I would say they could probably last for 2 matches or 3 matches, probably on a good amount. But we have several batteries that we can replace them with, and we have them on charge like all the time.
Yeah.
And each match is about 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, each match is about 2.5 minutes. I mean, the batteries will last for longer than that, but it's just they work better at higher charges. So
Yeah.
higher
Yeah, that's one of the important tasks during the competition is to
Make
remember.
sure they're charged.
Yeah, make sure the batteries are switched out and charged.
Yeah.
Gonna show this autonomous period first, and then after that, I think Arshad will do a little bit of driver practice,
So long.
yeah.
Wow. That works fast.
The claw is still broken, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. it's like that.
Yeah, so the attempt was to
The robots need to wipe out. What happened actually?
all right. Can you show the just the driver?
No,
They wouldn't
the
score it.
claw's broken because yesterday the servo or Eid Fest, the servo came out and the
Oh.
wire ripped, so I don't know if you fixed it, but
Try now.
Robot.
Try telling.
just try telling. See if that works.
Yeah. It's something the club gets to troubleshoot and fix.
I think it works. Wait, yeah, we're good.
Okay.
I like push it in properly.
Okay.
All right, try again.
In that fast motion, it doesn't ever fall out of the claw.
It used to in the past, but we made some like changes. There's a lot of iterations in our design process.
Uh-huh.
When we design something, we end up not using that first one. We end up, I think for a claw, we have like, I think 10 different designs that have all picked a good find, but they all changed.
Yeah.
They all changed one little thing, and we slowly just, there's a lot of just trial and error, just trying to figure out the best way to make sure that these things don't happen. So like we chamfer the edges of the claw, and that allows like the transfer to not mistransfer.
And as you can see there, Arshad Rahman is applying the most important part, which is duct tape.
Absolutely.
This robot we're just trying to wipe off the dust off this robot.
Yeah.
Robot's been we've been working on the other robot recently.
So here's something. So this is one example of the iterations. So we have this is actually not even the latest version. So this is one problem that actually came up earlier is during the transfer. This is the claw.
Yeah.
It's shaped like this, but sometimes during the transfer, it would end up like
An angle.
it would end up like this. Like the bucket would drop it like this, or
Uh-huh.
almost like this, like this. And it would be basically out of reach of the claw. And sometimes it would end up grabbing it like this. And when you try to score, the old scoring was not like in the bucket, it was like way back, and it would end up falling out. So now, but then this claw, what it did is it has these slopes. And when you grab it, it straightens it out.
Okay, yeah.
That wasn't even actually the first one. This is actually, or no, that's not the last one. This is like the second last on this robot. So this is the third latest one. That one is a little bit longer because this still has the issue of if the sample's not rectangular, if it's like in this diamond shape,
Right.
it would end up just getting like stuck, I'm pretty sure. I end up grabbing it
And
wrong.
are all blocks the same design, or are there different variations of the blocks?
They're all shaped the same, but they're different
design.
colors. That's
Okay.
at least.
Any point difference per color, or it's all the same points?
Yeah, so all the blocks, you can put your color and neutral into the baskets, and that gets you 8 points and 4 points. But you can't score, but yellow or neutral samples cannot become specimens with the clip. Meaning you can't score them on these chamber bars. So you
Got
need to use the colored ones.
Yeah.
But only yours, not the opponents.
Okay.
Like,
Demo number 2.
By the way, before you start, I just wanted to say that there's a saying that we have. I think everybody in FTC has it. Is in the competition, everything goes wrong. So you got to first hand experience of that.
Bismillah, give it another go.
There we go.
Hey, look at that. Wonderful.
So this is our autonomous experience. We're not controlling the robot.
This is autonomous. This is they programmed it completely from.
It just needed some duct tape.
Yeah. Exactly.
So right now it's configured for Blue Alliance, so it actually rejected that red sample. It kicked it out.
Oh, wow. So it knew the color of the block.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tossing it.
Okay, so
Okay.
basically that's 30 seconds. It ran out. It didn't find one yet. So one improvement we're adding is a camera to detect, to just look for them instead of just using the color sensor in the bucket. So this is
Very
driving.
interesting.
Now drives.
I should driving the robot right now.
Now this
So-
is a period where someone's actually driving this.
Is there ever a time when there are two robots in at the same time and trying to score against each other, or
So
it's just
the way the match works is 2v2 game. So in the qualification matches, you'll be alliance with a random team member. And what you'll do is you'll figure out how they want to score. Because typically the way this game works this year is that one team member will work on the bucket, right? They'll put samples in the bucket, and the other team member will work on clips, and they'll clip specimens onto the rung.
Another robot might grab this, take it back here, get it flipped, and then come back and score.
nice.
And then it's versus the other team. So versus two other robots.
It's
So
the same setup, but like rotated over there.
Yeah. So and then timed, and
Yeah.
whoever gets the most
And-
points.
And what can happen a lot of times, this happened a lot at States, is that other robots, they started doing a lot of defense, so they're trying to push.
Sure.
And this robot wasn't that strong.
Well, it's resilient. It's just not very offensive. It's very
Yeah.
defensive.
This robot?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's
we
worse.
were getting pushed around a lot, so, and Sean,
I mean, like-
the new robot's gonna have
By
a,
defense, I mean running away. It
Oh,
can't.
okay.
It can't push nobody.
yeah,
It almost looked like the robot took offense to what you said.
yeah. So the new robot's gonna be a lot
Actually,
stronger.
I have something to say. With the new upgrades, it can.
Yeah, is it gonna have like sentient feelings and start like
No.
showcasing emotions?
Hopefully not.
No guarantees.
Wonderful. Well, this has been really fantastic. I'm really glad that I got to personally learn so much more. And to those that are listening, I highly encourage your local mosque to open up an ITKAN robotics chapter and join these competitions. I think you guys have earned at least one new fan that's rooting for you and looking forward to seeing how you do in the national competition. So if you are someone who is in a position to support the next generation, their curiosity, their leadership development, and just supporting their passions and interests, Donations can be made to the Islamic Association of Raleigh and place in ITKAN in the process so that they can facilitate their journey to the nationals and future competitions as well. So thank you so much for being on with me today, and looking forward to hearing about all the wonderful things that each of you will do in the next 15 to 20 to 30 years, inshallah, as you become leaders in the community as well.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So,
Thank you, Jazakallah khair, for hosting us, I think.
Jazakallah
My
khair.
pleasure. All right, take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank
Wa alaikum
you.
assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.